all those things you faced. You showed up every day for work. We kept St. Charles Parish government operating, and we kept our government working for the people, and that deserves a big round of applause for all of you guys.
One of those civil servants is Sheila Toney, who was recognized for 40 years of service.
I'm a person that likes to help people, so I'm here to provide service to our residents of St. Charles Parish, and it gives me a great honor to help our residents.
She brings a tremendous amount of history, information, knowledge, dedication, understands the entire spectrum of what we do in the Department of Community Services.
And whether it was attendance or years of service, this select group gives St. Charles Parish a lot to be proud of.
Good evening, and welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, April 4th, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance from Deacon Billy Raymond Sr. with the Mount Airy Baptist Church in Boutique.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for one more opportunity to humbly come before you in prayer. We thank you for this day. We are glad for this day, and we will rejoice in it. We thank you for this council, administration, and all who are here with us this evening. Matthew 21:22 says, "And all things, whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive." We come this hour asking for your blessing and your help as we gather this evening for this meeting. We ask for guidance in all matters at hand and ask that you would help us to conduct our business with the spirit of joy and enthusiasm. May our discussions be meaningful, and may our Holy Spirit be with us as our helper and guide. Let us work together, encourage, nurture ideas, as well as others, to be excellent in all that they do tonight for the benefit of all the people in St. Charles Parish. We thank you for our safe arrival, and we ask that you will cover us with your travel grace as we return to our homes this evening. We ask these blessings and all blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, thank you, Deacon Raymond. A motion and a second is needed to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of March 21st, 2022. I have a motion by Ms. Cormier, second by Ms. Fonseca. Please cast your votes. And that motion passes with 8 yeas, with Councilwoman Belloc absent this evening. Special business, proclamations, canvass, concerns, and etc. In recognition, Lori Line, St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control. St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President deeply appreciate your years of service on the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control. Ms. Lori Lines, District 6 Representative, May 21st, 2018 to April 1st, 2022.
Thank you, sir. If you don't want to do anything, move it this way, sorry. All right, thank you.
thank you for this recognition. It wasn't a lot of hard work. I guess crossing the bridge was the hardest part. It's a great group of people, and I was very proud to serve, having actually worked at the library for a brief period of time. It was kind of nice. My only regret is I didn't get to see the Norco Library finished during my term in office. But it was a pleasure to serve, and I appreciate the honor. Thank you very much.
Okay, next on our agenda, 2022-0087. In recognition, Mr. Roland Bro, 2021 St. Charles Parish Employee of the Year. In recognition, whereas Roland Bro is a resident of St. Charles Parish residing in Bayou Gauche, Louisiana, with his wife Carrie. They are the proud parents of 3 children, Tyler Clear, Victoria Hage, and Sarah Hage. And whereas Roland began working full-time for St. Charles Parish in March 2007 as a groundskeeper for the Department of Public Works, he was promoted in June 2009 to meter reader distribution maintenance for the Department of Waterworks. Then in December 2016, he was promoted to wastewater technician 2 and has his current position for the Department of Wastewater. And whereas Roland's loyalty, dedication, kind nature, and impeccable work ethic has set a model standard of public service to the residents of St. Charles Parish. He exemplifies an expressive level of excellence day in and day out without any desire of being accredited for those accomplishments. And whereas today we thank you and offer our sincere appreciation for all your hard work and commitment to St. Charles Parish. Now therefore be it resolved, we the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President do hereby recognize Roland Bro, the 2021 St. Charles Parish Employee of the Year. So, Roland's not here tonight, but we're going to make sure he gets this. Uh, 2022-008, Proclamation, National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Whereas thousands of dedicated telecommunicators daily serve the citizens of the United States by answering their emergency phone calls for police, fire, and medical services, and by dispatching the appropriate assistant as quickly as possible. And whereas the critical functions performed by professional telecommunicators also include those related to highway safety and maintenance activities, the Office of Emergency Preparedness, and other operations performed by federal, state, and local government agencies. And whereas professional telecommunicators work to improve the emergency response capabilities of those communication systems through their leadership and participation in training programs and other activities provided by organizations such as the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials International Incorporated, the National Emergency Numbering Association, and the Medical Priority Dispatch System. Now therefore be it resolved, we the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President do hereby proclaim the week of April 10th through 16th, 2022 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the Parish of St. Charles in honor and recognition of our public safety telecommunicators and the vital contributions they make to the safety and well-being of our citizens. Major Sam Zenner will be here to accept the proclamation. Oh, come on. It's all about them. Trust me. As an avid user, believe me, I'll say my butt many times.
Just get in a little bit.
Right here. 2, 3. Perfect.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the Parish Council and the Parish President for again recognizing our telecommunicators. I refer to them as our first responders, and now they have a new tag, the heroes under the headsets. So we're going to go with that as well. But the job that they have done day in and day out is absolutely exceptional, and especially with Hurricane Ida that we all going through, and just the day-to-day services that they provide handling those 911 calls. Because I think we all realize it is really busy out there, and they're handling some serious matters that are the calls that are coming in for service. So not only recognizing the telecommunicators, I'm going to introduce Commander Ravenel Mixon, but also just want to say we need to think about those officers who are out there serving first line, not only the deputies, but also the fire service and EMS. They're doing an incredible job as well, and we're blessed to have all of them who are serving us. So I'm going to introduce Commander Ravenel Mixon, and she's going to introduce the rest of the group.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank you to the parish president and the parish council for this recognition. Our heroes on the headset, we take a lot of pride in this this week. So thank you for the proclamation. The telecommunicator, National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week is very important to us, and we use the opportunity to celebrate our heroes under the headset. And today we have with us the crew that worked the 12-hour shift today. That's shift manager Carlin Diggs, quality assurance manager Ariel Leje, communication specialist Sharon Hernandez, training manager Angel Moranto, and assistant shift manager Jennifer April. Thank you, guys.
So even though I know them all well, just sometimes I have those senior moments, and I would have forgotten, starting with Carlin. But anyway, thank you again, and thanks for all of the support. And just want to state one more time, the support in our expansion and renovation of the 911 Center. Can't say thank you enough, so thanks.
Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, and I just wanted to say a quick thank you to our heroes under the headset as well. But I know the work you do every single day. I listen to the radio in my truck all the time, so I hear the calls coming in. But I want to just say a special thank you during Hurricane Ida, especially while the storm was hitting. I know those conditions were hard, and I heard the calls coming in, and that was a very stressful time. So thanks for all you do, and continue to do the great work. Sam, continue to do the great work you do too.
Mr. Gibbs.
Just real quick, ladies and gentlemen, I'm an ex-policeman. I say this every time you guys are here. You've saved lives. You've saved our lives. Without you guys, there's no way a road deputy could manage a shift. So thank you so much for what you all do. I know firsthand what it is that you all do. So thank you.
I echo Mr. Gibbs's response from the fireside. And many a nights, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, that page goes off, and you guys have directed me. We've saved people's lives. I've been on the interstate, and you've helped me out on the interstate. Hurricane Ida was an amazing thing, task to do that. So, again, we appreciate everything you do. (2022-0089), a proclamation. National Community Development Week. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. Proclamation, whereas the Community Development Block Grant Program has operated since 1974 to provide local governments with resources required to primarily meet the needs of low and moderate income persons, and whereas the Community Development Block Grant Program is among the few remaining federal programs able to address the needs of low and moderate income persons and small cities. And whereas the Community Development Block Grant Program has provided St. Charles Parish with important and flexible assistance to meet the needs of low and moderate income residents by funding sewer, water, street improvement projects, economic development projects, and other public improvement projects. And whereas Congress and the nation acknowledge the critical value of the Community Development Block Program and the significant projects that rely on its funds and support. And whereas the week of April 11th through the 15th, 2022, has been reserved for recognition and appreciation of the Community Development Block Grant Program. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council, Parish President, do hereby proclaim the week of April 11th to the 15th, 2022 as National Development Week, and here to accept is Ms. Carla Chasson.
All right, that one was good. So all across the nation, next week is going to be recognized as National Community Development Week. This CDBG program, the Community Development Block Grant Program, is important to us. There's a competitive opportunity that we're able to apply for that comes around every other year. But the CDBG program also provides disaster recovery funds that, as it sounds, it comes right after a disaster, and hopefully we're able to tap into some of those funds following Hurricane Ida. So appreciate your support on this. I'm going to attach this proclamation to a letter that we're sending out to our congressional delegation members, and just letting them know the importance of the program to us locally, and hopefully we can continue to see the program being funded. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chesson. 2022-0078, an ordinance authorizing the issuance by the Parish Council of St. Charles, by the Parish of St. Charles, State of Louisiana, of its taxable limited tax bond in the amount not to exceed $10 million and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Mr. Akers or Mr. Jewell?
I'll give it to Mr. Akers.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President, Chairman, and members of the council. Jason Akers with Foley & Udell. The ordinance before you, I'll be glad to give a brief explanation. I'll step aside for your public hearing and answer any comments that come up after that, if that's okay. This is the final approval and authorization of not exceeding $10 million of a limited tax bond to be sold by the parish to DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality. DEQ has a revolving loan fund that makes low-interest fixed-rate loans for municipal sewer and wastewater systems, such as the one that you have here. That fixed rate is 0.95%. It's fixed for the life of the bonds. That allows you to also draw down funds as needed to control the interest costs within the construction period, and then that term is fixed over a 20-year term from that point forward. These bonds are paid out of the 2.16 mil ad valorem tax that's levied for the sewer system, and as you approve this ordinance, what you're doing is binding future councils and yourself as well to always budget that amount for the payment of debt service each year. If you draw down the full amount, that debt service each year will be approximately $550,000 for a $10 million project that's very cost effective and makes this a very competitive program, so you'd be congratulated for being a part of that. There is a companion resolution as well, but I'll save comments on that for the next item. And again, as I said, I'll step aside for your public hearing and answer any comments afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Akers. File number 2022-0078 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to be clear on this money is going to wastewater to pay for the sewer oxidation pond and 2 large lift stations, one in Muntz and one in Norco, that are in need of repair.
Any other council discussion? Please cast your votes for file number 2022-0078. And that motion passes 8 yeas. 2022-0094, a resolution approving the terms of a loan and pledge agreement to be executed in connection with the sale of a limited tax bond to the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality by the Parish of St. Charles, State of Louisiana, and accepting the obligations of the district set forth within. Mr. Akers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the companion resolution I promised you all of 60 seconds ago. This, your prior ordinance actually authorized a borrowing by the parish due to the tax being levied by the parish. However, the sewer system is actually in connection with the Consolidated Waterworks and Wastewater District Number 1. So because with the DEQ loan, there are certain obligations contained within the loan agreement to operate and maintain the system in the proper manner to ensure that you are using the funds, the project itself in the way that is anticipated. We need the Consolidated Waterworks and Wastewater District to actually be a signatory to the loan agreement as well. It's not an additional payment obligation. It is instead just an operational obligation. And just to be frank, the district is already under those obligations, either pursuant to a prior loan agreement that's in effect or pursuant to state law. So again, happy to answer any questions that you have about that.
Thank you, Mr. Akers. File number 2022-0094 is now open for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0094. And that motion passes with 8 yeas. Reports, finance and administrative activities. 2022-0085, the New Orleans Aviation Board. Mr. Kevin Dolio, Director of Aviation.
Good evening, Chairman, Council, Mr. President. I'm happy to be here with you this evening to give you an update on activities at the Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport. The first few slides kind of set the presentation, give you a sense for the airport, the market, and the types of activity that goes on there. Some of these slides, some of you may have seen before, but they're updated. Many of you have not seen these slides. After giving you a sense of the airport, we'll speak to some things that have occurred, very positive events, and then close out with a quick discussion on upcoming master plan. If you're traveling by air into or out of the state of Louisiana, 85% of you are using MSY. We're by far the largest airport in the region. Next largest close airport is about 350 miles to our west. That's Houston Intercontinental. Our catchment area, which is the area we draw passengers from, extends as far east as the Pensacola-Mobile area, north to Jackson, and just about to Lake Charles to the west. The rest of Lake Charles either flies from there or leaks over to Houston. So we are by far the largest airport in the region. For the period of 2008 to 2018, we were the 5th fastest growing airport in the country. You can see the stats there as to the percentage increase in passengers, flights, and so forth. 2019, the last full year prior to COVID, we did 13.6 million passengers in and out of MSY, which was a record. The first couple months, you'll see in a graph, a chart on a couple slides later, the first couple months of 20 were running higher than 19, so we were on track to bust through the 13.6 as well. Pre-COVID, 16 airlines serving 55 destinations, 8 of those international destinations. Everyone's not back yet, but no one has advised they're not coming. They're just on different schedules as travel restrictions are lifted. For instance, British Airways is back later this month. Air Canada is June, back to Toronto. Air Transat, the Montreal flights we picked up shortly before COVID, will be back in the winter. They've all expressed that, and we anticipate those events occurring. And there's been a number of other types of positive activity on the air carrier side. The terminal facility, the North Terminal, new facility, this is an aerial that was shot a week or two before we opened, so you see the completed facility there. That just shows you the different concourses, the parking areas, entrance roadway, and so forth. Just a different perspective on it. This chart kind of tracks for the past, for the months of the year, for the past 3 years, where we were in 19 for those months compared to 20, 21, and now the first month, I think, of 22 is up there. So it kind of depicts, you can see how it ebbed and flowed. You can see the drastic drop in 20, in March and April of 20, with a slow gradual increase in activity through 21. 21 finished about 40% down from 19. And then the first couple months of 22, we're tracking at about 80% of 2019 numbers. We've had 2 new air carriers announced during COVID, Breeze being the biggest of the 2, and Breeze being a really big event. Breeze came in not with just flights to a destination or 2. Breeze came in and designated our city as one of 4 at the time operations basis for Breeze, now up to 5 cities with that designation, which means you have flight attendants, pilots, and maintenance personnel based and living in the city. Breeze is expected over the first 5 years here to grow to up to 290 high-paying jobs in the area. That's mainly amongst flight attendants, pilots, and maintenance personnel. And those are the cities listed that it's flying to currently. And the 4 or 5 designated operations bases for Breeze, as Breeze grows, those bases or those cities will benefit greatly from Breeze's growth and activity. This is other air service events. The second new carrier that came in during COVID was Silver Airways, and that's twice weekly to Jacksonville. You see the British Airways flight I mentioned, Air Canada, Air Transit. Spirit announced San Pedro Sula just prior to, just at the beginning of COVID, never really enacted the flight, and brought it up earlier or late in 21. So they initiated service San Pedro Sula. Frontier Airlines announced new service to Las Vegas and Atlanta, initiated in September. And then you see the Alaska announcement to Portland. Portland's a city we've been after for a while. And that flight will be up in late 22 and JetBlue to LaGuardia this month. Everything's open. There's one small retail location that's not open. It was a small candy shop at the head of C Concourse. Everything else is up. There's differing hours. Menus are increasing as traffic comes back. We work closely with our concessionaires at the height of the pandemic and working with them and coordinating the ramping or spooling down of their operation and then the slow ramping up as activity was coming back. We shared information with them, gave them advanced projections on the recovery, and again, worked very closely in their spool down and ramping back up, and it's worked very well. I've been the CEO of 3 major airports over 3 large cities. I've been an airport consultant as a partner in a consulting firm for 10 years with a number of airports as consultants, and I've not seen anything like this before. I've been as a CEO, been in airports where we receive great recognition, but this is 9 pieces of national and international recognition for what we're doing over a period of 1.5 to 2 years, a very short period of time. It's like validation on top of validation. It's not repeated awards from one entity. It's a variety of awards from several well-recognized, highly respected entities that runs the gamut across the board in our operation. A lot of it customer service and how the facilities are maintained, check-in process, access to the airport, a number of items that are looked at in the best large airport in North America, J.D. Power, best airport bus size and region with our largest trade organization, and then best hygiene measures with the advent of really ramping those measures up during COVID. Most efficient airport by the Air Transport Research Society. That's not customer service. That's the business side of your operation. That's how you're running the airport. That's your finances. That's the cost to do business there. And it really touches that side of the arena as opposed to customer service. And then public relations and marketing. Great recognition there for our public relations and marketing programs. I mentioned a master plan. This just shows we're on 1,500 acres on our site. 1,500 acres for markets our size, for our type activity, is a smaller footprint for airports that do this much activity. As we master plan our facility, as we look to growth in the future, we have to be smart and very mindful as to how we develop and how we put our acreage to use to ensure that we maintain acreage for capacity growth down the road to meet our needs. So it's enough, but you have to be smart and forward-looking as you utilize different parts of the facility. We initiated a master plan about a month ago. Master plans are about an 18-month process. Gives you a 20-year look ahead. On the earlier end of the master plan process, we'll be looking at certain potential initiatives. You all are very aware of the Baton Rouge, New Orleans rail concept that looks very close to being real, and may very well, it looks like it's going to happen. If that does, there'll be a stop at MSY. So we need to start planning for that and looking to how we'll develop the facility to accommodate that. We'll pick up traffic on that rail. So we're also beginning the process of looking as to how we move folks from the south side around to the north side terminal facility. What that'll look like, what the facilities will be, what the accommodations will be for that. So there's a good bit we'll be looking for in the master plan. Again, there's pieces we'll do earlier, so we're prepared if and when rail happens. And also with the infrastructure dollars out there, there's earlier looks in the master plan at different potential projects that can be completed that would allow us or position ourselves to compete for infrastructure dollars if and when those pots of money open up as well to do things in and around the airport. So with that, I think that's okay. Take any questions if there's any.
President Jewell.
No questions for me. I just want to say thank you to you, your staff, and our commissioner on the airport board, Mr. Gary Smith. You always do a good job of keeping me informed on everything that's going on. And Kevin, I always end up running into you when I'm at the airport. So thanks for everything you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Doley, I'll pass our congratulations on to your staff for that accomplishments. And that's amazing. You're right, for an airport our size, small market. So
thank you.
Y'all do it good. So, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
(2022-0084), Department of Parks and Recreation and Edward Dufresne Community Center. Mr. Foray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council, Parish President Jew. Dwayne Foray, Department of Parks and Recreation. Our mission is to provide quality recreation programs, facilities, and parks that allow all of our residents to enhance their quality of life. Our department is funded by 2.90 property tax millage and supplemental funds from the general fund. We also have a construction fund where developers donate a percentage of property or a fee in lieu of property for the development. Our park structure is as follows. Now we're up to 56 parks, 324 acres. That consists of neighborhood parks, community parks, regional parks, and special facilities. We currently administer and facilitate over 45 programs for our population. That's our youth, adult, senior, and special athletes here in the parish. So during Hurricane Ida prior and during the relief efforts, our department, 95% of us, sheltered and assisted the evacuation of our residents that don't have the wherewithal to do that in Hammond for 1 week. We also had a couple employees stay back and operate our shelter of last resort at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. We come back, we now get into shelter mode for those that are volunteering in our community and employees that are displaced because of Ida. We get into the food distribution for our employees and volunteers, water distribution for residents and employees. We become a laundry site for employees and first responders that are actually getting our parish back. Also, we become a FEMA and SBA student loan site, not student loan, a loan site. And that's another issue. But anyway, so a lot of things would happen at the hub at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. And then we got into park assessments and damage of what actually happened at our parks. Now, 56 parks, as I just mentioned, all of them had substantial damage that consisted but not limited to backstops, batting cage, restrooms, concessions, bleachers, bleacher awnings, bleacher covers, spray park, fencing, tennis courts. The one thing that was spared, the amenity that was spared, was playground equipment. We only had one canopy, and that was at the newly put up JB Green that it blew off. But other than that, our playgrounds spared very well, but other things didn't. Light poles did not. Over 137 damaged light poles or fixtures in the parish, and that's been a struggle to get back online. So some of the things we were able to do prior to this was Collins Park, new playground equipment. Muntz Park, a new restroom facility. Kelowna walking path, 1/3 of a mile. And then Parquette Park. JB Green, as I just mentioned, playground installation. And our beautiful Mississippi River West Bank levee trailhead. We have some wonderful things coming in 2022. We will be coming to you in the next few meetings with some wonderful events we have occurring or projects. Veterans Memorial is one of them. That's ongoing, slated to be finished at the end of May, barring any unforeseen weather patterns or delays in supply chain issues. And we also have the Mississippi River Levee Trail. That's a project that's been on the books for a while. That's bench seating and trash receptacles on both the East Bank and West Bank. We got a lot of information from the council on where the benches needed to be placed in your particular district, so I appreciate that feedback. Edward A. Dufresne Community Center, the ramp that is under construction now, and then the East Bank Levee Trailhead upgrade, that's in St. Rose. The IMTT Park upgrade, that's also in St. Rose. And then Ashton Soccer multi-use facility, restroom, concession stand, and storage. That's a project I know Ms. Fisher is glad to see finally come to fruition. It will be introduced hopefully within the month, and then we can get that going. We are moving forward on it. Our community center, as you could tell, was the hub of disaster and relief services here within the parish over the last 6 months. Unfortunately, we also sustained substantial damage over there, probably about $1 million, so we'd be looking to come to you and start getting that process started. Now, as you could tell with the COVID and the pandemic, we've seen our foot traffic decreased a little bit, but I will stand before you and say the sales funnel is strong for this year. We have experienced an uptick in rentals. We are booked through May and June, and I know that will be back up in 2022. So that's my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have concerning our department or the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just will say thank you. I'm super glad to see Ashton restrooms and concession stand finally coming to fruition. That's been a long time coming, and I know everybody's been very patient. So I appreciate that and looking forward to that. Your list of 2022 projects don't include Rathborne parking. Just wondering if we can get a status update on that?
We should get an answer. I wish Carla was here because we did. She is. It should be getting an answer within the next 3 or 4 months. Sometime you put some projects and you get, well, this was on your last year's report. Where is it? Well, I was hesitant about doing that because I did the report prior to getting that information, but that's still pretty much on the forefront. And we definitely want to do it because parking is essential back there so we can actually start utilizing the site like it was intended to be used.
Right. I know it's getting close to summertime. I think it would be helpful. And I know it's not a super complicated construction project from what it seems. You know, it's permeable and it's just going to be some loads of that. But I know we took care of everything on the legal side. But is the grant, you think the grant is the issue, or are we just being hesitant? Oh, she is here.
Yeah.
She is
I'll
here.
let her speak on behalf.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Carla.
So yes, there's an amendment request that we submitted to the state to get the parking location where we want to put it along the levee. And that has to be approved on the federal level. There were some holdups that they had last year, and I followed up with them, and they said that we should be getting the approval soon. I said, how soon? He said 3 months.
Okay.
So that was last week or the week before that I called you. So unfortunately, I don't have better news for you, but it's...
And so it's because we changed the location of the parking? I mean, a smidgen though, right? Because originally we were going to go around the side.
talking about extending it and then going, and there were some
the grass
property
portion.
issues associated with that had to be satisfied. We got that done
Yeah.
late last year, and
Right.
so now we're moving forward with it. And
Okay.
I said late last year, but it might have been mid last year.
I think it was earlier than that, because I remember when that happened, and we felt like that's a big, big relief, but, okay,
I
I
pushed
get
him.
it.
I said, look, we have to get this going. We're coming up on, we've requested one extension. We're coming up on the next deadline, which is December 31st. I said, we have to move this forward.
Right.
And then he tells me 3 months. And I was
Okay.
like, I don't know if you heard me.
At least we know it's happening, and, I just wanted to make sure it hadn't been thrown by the wayside, so to know it's still in motion. Is there a sunset on that donation? I don't think there is. I don't think it's a year.
There is a reversionary clause.
10 years?
That I think it's at the end of this year if we do not go to construction. So we should be under construction prior to that.
Okay. I thought it was 10 years. Okay. That must be something else. All right. Thank y'all so much. And again, thank you for Ashton.
Dwayne, just want to say thank you. Of course, I thank your staff as well, because you guys really were the hub, after Hurricane Ida. While most people's staffs were able to start working exactly on what they were doing before Hurricane Ida or working towards, getting their areas cleaned up, you guys had to continue doing storm response well into post aftermath. So thanks for all y'all did for that. And then, of course, I know we have a long way to go to get our parks all fully up to speed. Our parks are not all insured. We only have 2 parks that are insured. So everything else goes through FEMA. That's a tedious process. It's not just take a picture and send it in. It's take a picture and give me some GPS coordinates.
And we have all of that information.
Yeah, no, we have a binder about this big full of all the damage and all the information we need. So thanks for your staff for doing all that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dwayne, I also just wanted to thank you because you're super responsive whenever I contact you with an issue, whether it be a broken swing set that someone reports on Facebook or something else. So appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dwayne. Appreciate it. 2022-0082, Parish President Remarks Report. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. To start my report, I'm actually going to turn it over to Al Galindo and Kent Green from Entergy to give the Parish Council an update on streetlight repairs and anything else.
Thank you, Parish President Jewell. Council Chair and council members, it's good to see you again. I think it was back at the end of September that we were giving you an update on Hurricane Ida, and here we are still. Again, Al Galindo, I'm the region manager for customer service for this part of Louisiana. That includes the southeast region in which St. Charles Parish is located. And again, Kent Green is our St. Charles Parish customer service manager. It's been 7 months since Hurricane Ida impacted our state and St. Charles Parish. Just a quick Ida recap. Historic damage across the state with over 30,000 poles that were damaged, including many streetlights. Those pole damages were double that of Hurricane Laura in 2020 and more than Hurricanes Katrina, Ike, Delta, and Zeta combined. We all experienced that damage that occurred in the state. 3% of all of Entergy's poles, which is roughly about 1.165 million poles, were damaged. We own almost 900,000 poles, and then the remainder are owned by AT&T and other providers. Within St. Charles Parish itself, Entergy owns roughly about 15,000 poles, and 7,800 poles are owned by other entities. So the total number of poles within the parish is a little bit over 22,700. 3,339 poles were damaged here in St. Charles Parish during Hurricane Ida, which is 22% of our poles. So that was quite a bit. During the storm response, our priority was to basically safely and quickly restore power, and then follow it up by permanent repairs. We also surveyed and removed debris, such as discarded poles and wires, while also working to follow environmental guidelines for discarding items like transformers. Let's transition over to streetlights. Streetlights are always at the end of the restoration process, and we actually began to repair streetlights at the end of last year. So essentially September, October, November, we were still doing restorations and all of the items that I just mentioned about permanent repairs in certain areas of the parish. So in November and December of last year, we actually conducted a damage assessment across all of the impacted areas, which included St. Charles Parish. Entergy bills St. Charles Parish approximately 7,200 streetlights on accounts that are either owned by Entergy, there's streetlights that are owned by Entergy, or there's streetlights that are owned by the parish. So 7,200 streetlights that we bill. The assessments found that over 3,000 of those streetlights were damaged during the storm. So we have three primary accounts with St. Charles Parish. We have the West Bank account, where 44% of those streetlights were damaged. We have the East Bank account, where 40% of those streetlights were damaged. And then we have the St. Charles Parish, what we call Months account, where 31% of the streetlights were damaged. So these were assessments that were done by a third-party company that basically took all of our maps, where we have all of our streetlights that are designated on our distribution system, and basically did a walk down. So it took them about 6 weeks to get that done, not only just in St. Charles, but basically from Grand Isle all the way up to the river region parishes and everything in between. To date, we've repaired approximately 47% of the damaged streetlights in St. Charles Parish. This is actually through last Thursday, the 31st, and we're still continuing to make repairs. I do want to give you a little bit of background of what we ended up having to do, because we knew that there were no available resources at the time that we needed to make the repairs to accomplish it in a more timely manner. So we actually went out and put an RFP out and brought on 2 additional contractors to actually begin doing repairs throughout the impacted areas. Those contractors really started doing some of the work around mid-February when we brought them on board. And even though we still had continued constraints of resources, we were able to use some of our Entergy contractors that do work for us in other areas. So you may have seen in the parish, Pike Electric Contracting Company is one of the contracting companies that we hired, and they're the ones that are doing the work in St. Charles Parish. We also have what we refer to as our base load contractors that do streetlight repairs, and we added additional folks to that organization as well. So with the constraints that we had in labor resources and anticipating that we needed materials, we began ordering materials as soon as we started getting the results from the damage assessments. And we are finding, for the most part, we have the materials that we need. Our supply chain is working very closely with our suppliers to make sure that we get the materials that we need. The one item that we do have a challenge with is the 10-foot arms that are used on poles to extend over the street. Those are the ones that we're still having some challenges with. But we also are working with our elected officials in identifying any priority areas that do need streetlight repairs. I know that US 90, basically from I-310 over to, in Boutique, over to the Walmart was an issue, and we did put lights in there to make sure that that corridor was covered. The other thing I wanted to mention about the streetlight operations, the way the streetlight tariffs are approved by the Public Service Commission, we have what we refer to as a 90% burn rate in the price or the tariff, the rate that we charge to our municipal customers, which means that at any given time you would have about 10% of the streetlights out, and we're constantly repairing those streetlights. So that's a caveat that I want to mention as part of the repair. Now, part of the assessments that we've done is we're going and repairing all the lights that were damaged, so we're not going to not do the entire repair work. So with that being said, one of the issues that we've proactively addressed, and I've discussed it with Mike Palamone, is the streetlight bill credits. We know that the streetlight bills are unmetered service, so it's just a flat rate that's applied on a bill for the number of lights that are located in that municipality. So we knew, obviously, that in September, none of the lights were working. So what we've done at Entergy is gone back in the impacted areas, and we've issued credits back to the parish for the lights that were damaged, and then 100% for the month of September. And then for the months of October, November, and December, we issued a credit based on the percentage of assessments on each account. So we've gone ahead and initiated that credit back to the parish for those streetlights. We actually stopped the streetlight bills being issued so that these credits could apply to the accounts and then get reconciled after all the credits are issued. So we just initiated one final credit for the month of January, and I'm waiting for confirmation from our billing office that those credits have been issued. And part of our plan is to sit down with the parish president and their office to go through and make sure that the parish accounts are reconciled. Those three parish streetlight accounts are reconciled to what was actually billed and what we actually credited back. And I actually did those credits myself. So knowing that we had a significant impact of billing for our customers in the entire area, we've gone back and initiated those credits. So I want to make sure that I covered that. The other topic that I wanted to mention, and I had a discussion with Parish President Jewell and Mike Palamone, his CIO, is about the rates that are charged for the LED streetlights versus the non-LED streetlights. That's a topic that has been top of mind in all of the parishes that we've spoken to. Essentially, when the streetlight rates were developed back in 2015 to include LED rates, the market at that time had not matured by the manufacturers to have the cost of those lights at a more market competitive rate than what we were paying for the non-LED streetlights. That was 6 years ago. And so we have escalated this topic to our regulatory team and our chief customer officers office in Entergy to ensure that those rates are reassessed so that we can begin to provide those products at a more competitive rate for our municipal customers. We know that LED lights are more cost efficient, which in the rate it does show the savings from an energy perspective, but the actual initial installed cost, the ongoing maintenance is much higher. As a matter of fact, for a standard 100-watt non-LED light fixture compared to the LED comparable fixture, it's like $11 more a month per unit. And that's just a lot more than what we think our municipality should be paying for that type of lighting illumination. So our regulatory team has provided us with the feedback that they will begin to assess the streetlight rates for LED this summer. And that's part of what we have to submit to the Public Service Commission for approval. And it can be done outside of a general rate case because the streetlight rates are optional. And so I just wanted to mention that so that that's something that will be coming out later this year. We can provide updates on what those impacts will be, so it allows the parishes to make some decisions on installing LED streetlights. From a private area lighting perspective, that's the one last item that I have. You may get calls from your constituents that may be asking about a light that they may have on a pole that's in their front yard or in their backyard that illuminates their driveway. This is a service that Entergy offers to all of our residential and business customers, which is a private area security and lighting service. That service, too, is an unmetered rate that customers get on their bill. And so what we have done is, and we'll share this information with the parish, is to let those customers let us know through our website that that light has not been working since the storm, if that's the case. And that will create a request to do a repair. And what we're doing is we're going back to all those customers that have initiated those repair requests for those private area lights to give them a credit back to the beginning of the storm based on when that repair is completed. So we've been doing that on a monthly basis based on the number of repair requests that we're getting from customers who suffered damage from their private area lights that they have on their personal Entergy home account or business account. So I wanted to make sure we covered that. And we do have a website. We'll provide this information to the parish so that you can have it available to share with your constituents. From a location perspective, I'm going to have Ken talk a little bit about the areas that we've covered and then answer any questions that you may have about the repair of streetlights.
Hi, I'd like to do a little bit of summary on where the trucks are and where the area is that we've been concentrating in regards to streetlight repairs in St. Charles Parish. Work is ongoing as we speak in locations Parity, Boutte, Luling, St. Rose, and Norco. Some of our problematic areas are the Spillway Bridge, US Highway 61. We're actually planning on trying to get into that area to see if we can get some lights installed on some of those poles that are void of lighting fixtures. The lights in the secondary are the main interests of our repairs. But the only problem with that area is that we have access issues. That's kind of in the spillway. It's rather wet conditions there, so we really need maybe 5 to 10 days of good, warm, sunny weather so that soil could dry, so that will support the bucket trucks and the servicemen that are addressing the issue. So that's kind of a bit of a problematic area, but we're sure that we'll get to the end of that. The other issue I wanted to mention is that on US Highway 90 in Boutte, where the 310 intersection is, from Highway 90 all the way from past the Walmart Save-A Center all the way down to the Barton Avenue area, we fitted the 400-watt high-pressure vector fixtures as a temporary solution. If you go anywhere in the business Highway 90 and you look at the location or the poles that are on the Walmart side, you'll see the square 400 light fixtures. Typically, or before Hurricane Ida, that was actually fitted with a big 12-foot steel arm with the Cobra head aiming downward. These are put up just as a temporary fix. Eventually, we will go ahead and put the long arms out, but the long arms are kind of caught up in that whole supply chain issue right now. So we have a 400-watt vector light, on each one of those poles going forward. I believe it's somewhere around 48 different fixtures from that intersection all the way down to Barton. So actually the way the fixture is designed, it actually cascades lights more across the road into the oncoming direction. But we'll have a discussion once it becomes time to talk about whether you guys want to go back with the Cobra heads or stay with the 400-watt vectors. The other issue is about the private area lights. I wanted to mention that we had several rather large jobs that we heard from our customers and they needed immediate attention on. So one of those is the West Bank Bridge Park on the levee area where the citizens leave their cars and they actually, exercise or just walk the levee. We had some lighting issues there that we took care of in order to have some safety for those folks. We have the Armine Assisted Living location as well that we actually addressed with several lights at that location, for the assisted living facility. Destrehan Plantation, they have a lot of weddings and things, receptions towards the nighttime area. So we got out there and tried to fix, I believe it was in between 10 to 15 of those private area lights so that they could have their facilities used and in a safe manner. And of course, just recently, I worked with Mr. John Diaz in regards to the St. Charles Parish Community College, where we got some lights on for those folks that are coming out of those classes late at night. That's the end of my presentation. Al and I will be here though, so we'd be more than happy to address any questions if you guys have any.
Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. For the council's edification, right now, of course, we still have to, verify and make sure the accounting is all correct. But right now, the total amount of those credits is $186,907. That's been credited back to the parish. Now, Al or Kent, one of the questions I have, a lot of areas in the parish where those lights are completely gone, like you said. They seem to be mostly on some of our mostly high-traffic roads, Airline, River Road on both sides, Highway 90, which you mentioned. One I wanted to bring to your attention, just because it's a narrow road and it's really, really dark in this area, is Paul Mallard Road.
Okay.
Right from where the subway is, all the way down to pretty much the fire station is the vast majority of those lights are gone, and it looks to be that the vast majority of those poles are new. So I understand why they're gone, but I just wanted to, if you guys could help prioritize that area, that would be great, because that's
I will personally take that.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, thanks, man.
Ms. Cooley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a couple quick points. AMA location, I don't know if you service River Road lights. And I think I shot you an email late this afternoon. In front of Griffin Street, street lights along Allen Street. I think those people would appreciate getting theirs done.
Okay.
They said there were trucks on Kennedy last week, but they didn't see anybody, I guess, again today. So I appreciate if you could look at their sites.
Absolutely, I will take care of that.
Thank you.
Ms. Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you both for coming tonight and that great explanation of what's going on. I think now, the more we talk about what kind of damage we got, the more the residents become more patient and understand what's going on. And I know you guys are doing everything you can and have been since day one. So I appreciate that. I do have a question outside of streetlights, which you probably want to hear, right? It's not about streetlights. It's relative to damaged poles, things that maybe are working but not up to the standards of Entergy. I know at one of the meetings that we had at the community center right after the storm, you guys talked about how you were going to get lines up and get power restored, but some parts and places would kind of be piecemealed. I know there are some places you're talking about that are difficult to get to, but I noticed things in my district, a leaning pole with a line that's just hanging there. I just wonder, what is the timeline or anticipated date that you guys will begin to restabilize and get things back to energy standards as we near hurricane season again? These residents are looking at these things outside of their homes thinking that looks pretty shaky. I know it's working and I know power's running through it and I know everything's suitable for now, but it may not hold. So just wondering what the future looks like, if you guys will be putting together a plan, an action plan for that.
We are making repairs. We've gotten a lot of requests and to have those checked. I mean, we do make permanent repairs as after we restore power. Mm-hmm. But if there's a specific area that needs attention, you can reach out to us so we can follow up.
I didn't want to be too soon.
No,
because I know it's still very sensitive.
Yeah. But you know, one of the things that the company has obviously identified is resiliency, hardening of the grid, especially after the 2 years of storms that we've had, and that's definitely something that the company takes very seriously. As a matter of fact, we have applied for some of the FEMA building infrastructure resiliency grants, the brick grants to help. It's like $450 million worth of infrastructure repairs that are specific to the utility, to our utility infrastructure. But if you would let us know, that would help.
Okay, perfect. I'll send those your way. And, I think that you guys have done a really, really good job. I'll end on that note.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We've appreciated you guys being here for us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kind of expand on Ms. Cormier's question. Just today, I was riding in my car, and I noticed in an area that has underground utilities, some residents had damaged box covers and whatnot, may not even all be energy, piled up by the front of the road. What do we contact you on that? And if it's not all yours, do you notify AT&T or Cox, or should we contact all three?
Yeah, what will typically happen if you send me a message of your choice, I'll do a field visit. I'll go out there and kind of take a look at what it is, and if it's telecommunication cable or telecommunication equipment, I have contacts with AT&T in which I can notify them that, hey, look, you guys have got some things. It's a request from the council, so obviously it's handled at a heightened priority. But they'll go out there and identify it, and if they're the owner of repairing it, they will take care of it. If not, it's us. We'll do it in house, and I can drive that for you.
Okay, appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I also, I'm sure we've all had a lot of calls from residents on the streetlights. I had one in particular from a resident in Parity, and I know you stated that y'all are currently working in Parity, and their concern was that the street over got fixed. They saw the trucks on their street, but then the trucks left and they're still not fixed. And so can you say that when y'all leave the area, they'll all be fixed? Is that something we can
That is the goal.
pass on?
That is
you
the goal.
won't leave a street undone?
Yes.
And
Okay.
if by chance that were to happen, you just let me know, and I will make sure that we loop back around if we vacated the area, or if they're just in another area in the neighborhood, I can make sure that that street is on their radar,
Right.
so that they don't leave a whole street out or a whole block out. So I'm really there to kind of help facilitate those sort of issues.
Yes.
So you just reach out to me and I'll own it.
I'll do that. Thank you both.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Dufresne.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The ladies got me first. That's what I was going to ask. But what about in between on Highway 90, DeSalmons and Parities? There used to be lights. They weren't very close, but they were strategically placed, I guess, in case someone's car broke, because it's very, very dark there. There's no,
Yeah,
it's
those
just
are the
cow
ones that
pastures.
had the number on the shoulder written down with
Exactly.
the 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know for sure whether those lights have been addressed, but I will check and get back with you and just let you know.
Okay.
And we probably need to go out with some, and I can do that as well. I'll just go out there with some white paint and hit it on the shoulder so that, if anyone's driving into work and see one out, if they know that it's light number 2, I'll make the request for light number 2.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Ms. Gordon.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I know you talked about River Road, so there was one that we spoke on earlier. But I know the area at Our Lady of Holy Rosary Catholic Church on the River Road, all of that is without light. In addition to the church parking lot, they have a lot of nightly church activities that go on, and their parking lot is totally.
And that's just literally next door to us, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, I'll check into that one too.
Kent, on the private area lights, so if they were damaged during the storm, and let's just say the contractor came in, took them down, does the residents that had the private area lights should contact you guys to have it done? You're just not going to go back and put them back up, right?
That's right. Yeah, we'll replace them if it was there, and whether the pole route was reworked and they did not get that light fixture back up there, we have maps that tell us all of that. We can go back and again, if you just contact me, I can drive that for you.
Okay.
We can identify what size it was, look into the account, go ahead and put it up there, and then of course the thing that we have to make sure to put the period at the end of the sentence is that customer needs a rebate, because if that light hasn't been working since Ida, then there's several months of $25, charge. So we'll make sure that those get refunded as well once the light's corrected.
And then also, Al had talked about earlier about, that's right, 7,800 poles in St. Charles Parish that's not owned by Energy, correct?
Yeah, there's.
Is that right?
It's correct. I'm not sure the number. I don't have that number, but.
It's 7,853.
7,853.
Yeah.
So a majority of those are AT&T poles,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So if Energy has equipment that's on those poles, so you guys have pretty much done an assessment, right?
Yeah,
Looked
there's a
at it.
joint use process that we use with AT&T.
If you find that pole is not suitable for your equipment, what are you doing to get AT&T to fix that pole?
We have a joint use process between Entergy and AT&T
Okay.
to ensure that if there's damages to poles, for example, that AT&T has, we need to make sure they understand and bring that to their attention, and vice versa for us.
They've been fairly good about that?
Yeah, I mean, we work really closely together with them on these joint use poles. It's a whole different group outside of our area, but there is a process, especially after a storm where you have to replace equipment on new poles, is identifying, whose pole that really is, and the responsibility to making sure that it gets documented correctly for mapping purposes. So.
Well, gentlemen, thank y'all for coming. I think we all got our questions answered, and hopefully our residents do. Thank you for everything you've done since this morning.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Mr. Jewell.
All right. First, I want to say that, give you guys an update on the spillway. Spillway Road was reopened earlier last week. And the river is at 12.4 feet at the Carrollton gauge and gradually falling. So it looks like it's going to continue on that path. So that is a good thing for the spillway road and any construction within 1,500 feet of the spillway. Oops, my microphone was not on. Okay. First, I want to talk about group housing sites. As the council is aware, we recently put out the environmental assessment on Bent RV site in Bootsy. That is the 10-acre property next door to Bent RV. And we did that on request on behalf of FEMA to meet FEMA's public comment period needs. So right now there are, according to FEMA, 200 families that are without a place to live. These people are primarily, like 99% of them, renters who were in apartments that can no longer go back to those apartments, and they're currently being housed in hotels across Southeast Louisiana through the Temporary Shelter Assistance Program. I just want to let you know I've put in a request to FEMA to come and speak to the council to get more detail so that you all can get more detail on the program. And I will let you all know when that request has been responded to. Put that request in over the weekend. And then any property that would be used for a temporary housing site would have to come before the council and probably the planning commission as well for a rezoning. More to come on that. Public Works. We posted about this over the weekend. You'll see these are some manholes that we have rehabilitated. I'm not exactly sure where this one was, but we have identified about 50 of them that need to be rehabilitated. You can see how they look on the left here. You can see at the bottom there's just some exposed brick. And then afterwards they line them and get them back into a suitable condition. This helps prevent water from infiltrating the system. Again, 50 have been identified. They're doing about 5 a day. And then we are also going to be doing the pipelining in addition to this to help with infiltration. This is all part of the St. Charles Parish Master Plan. Okay, street paving on 2nd and 4th Street in St. Rose. So crews have been working in this area to mill and overlay and redo those streets. These areas had some pretty significant potholes. All right, we had some debris removal out of Primrose Canal. So we're still finding some debris in various portions of the canal. This one happened to be under like right inside of that culvert, right before Ellington Pump Station. All right. We have a town hall meeting coming up tomorrow night to discuss the Norco and Muntz watershed and what plans have come out of the master plan. So that's going to be 6 p.m. to 7:30. And again, this is a part of the master plan, kind of a public comment period, and update the residents on what was found in a particular drainage master plan for that area. We'll be working on doing ones for New Sarpy and Ormond, as well as Hawnville and Ama in the coming weeks. And then lastly, we have some job openings. Carpenter, Coastal Zone Management Planner, Equipment Operator 1, 2, 3, and 4, Grass Cutter 1 and 2, Groundskeeper, Laborer, Pump Technician Helper, and a Shop Mechanic Helper. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Ordinances, resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing, Monday, April 18, 2022, 6 p.m., Council Chambers, Courthouse, Hahnville. 2021-0030, 2022-0091, 2022-0092, 2022-0093, 2022-0095, 2022-0096. Ordinances scheduled for public hearing introduced at a previous meeting. 2022-0073, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Stewart Consulting Group Incorporated to perform engineering services for Ormond Center drainage improvements, project number P190505, in the amount not to exceed $81,246. Mr. Palamone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this project we inherited when Parish President Jewell took office, was awarded back in June of 19, and originally it was looking to do some investigation and refurbishment of the pipes crossing under the Ormond Center parking lot. DPW evaluated what was going to be done and found that it would be very disruptive to the operation of the center and also be extremely difficult to construct. So we got back with the engineer and we decided to terminate that contract, move into the new form contract that we have. And what we're going to end up doing is making improvements to two sites, the Ormond Center site and also the Cypress Lakes South Weir. At the Ormond Center, instead of utilizing those pipes that were there, we're going to reroute the drainage west around the facility. And this will be accomplished by establishing an open channel along the edges of the Ormond Center. And then we're going to go and do and refurbish the Cypress Lakes South Weir. This contract will provide the preliminary engineering and necessary surveying. Once the preliminary engineering is done, we'll know then the level of effort for the final engineering. That's why if you look in the contract, it's going to be to be determined at that point. Total contract is the $81,246, $55,421 for the engineering, preliminary engineering, and $25,825 for the surveying. And the Administration and Public Works request your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Palamone. File number 2022-0073 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name, address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Walter Pillier. I live on Duquesne Drive in Destrehan, and I'm struggling with this one, not the part that has to do with the Cypress Lakes where you'd have a weir adjustment. The other one, though, where we're going to reroute this canal, and that involves putting a trestle underneath the railroad tracks, not a small deal. It involves also a DOTD jack and bore underneath Airline Highway, not a small deal. Right? When this development back in early 2000s was done, there used to be a ditch where that parking lot is. Right? That ditch got covered up into what they put in, despite all kind of controversy of the size and whatever. What got put in is 2 48-inch culverts running parallel, increasing to 2 48-inch culverts. And best estimate I can come up with, that handles about 110 cubic feet a second. To tell you what the Scheck-Snyder pump station puts out, that's 260 cubic feet a second, and we're talking about increasing that with the master drainage plans to about 300 or 500. So the bottom line is, those culverts should never have been done, should never have been approved. And for all these years, where the water goes, all I can guess is it's going into the swamp. So something's got to be done. But I struggle with having a study done to identify the obvious, all right? Is it possible to do? Is that what we're trying to determine? Will the railroad work with us? KCS is not necessarily as friendly as perhaps CN is with Miles. And certainly DOTD, you know, you can tell me they're not just going to bend over and say, hey, yeah, we're going to do this. So I'd love to know, you know, we're coming up with numerous options, all of which, you know, intuitively sound great. And we're doing a lot of designs in this parish right now. Last count I had was last summer, or earlier than that, and that was over $7 million of designs that we've spent. We've got to do some stuff. We've got to build some things. And I know we're trying to work toward that, but this is another right here. Just for this little study in phase one and surveying is $59,000. So I just question that, and I thought I'd bring that up to you, because I don't usually go against anything that has to do with drainage improvements in this parish, and you know that from my visits here at the council meeting. So I appreciate it if you could give this a little bit of thought, okay? Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Walton. Is there anyone else who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike or Matt, Mr. Pele brings up a good point. And I'm just curious as to why this study part wasn't part of the master plan, so that we already know what needs to be done.
I can't speak exactly to it. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I would say probably because of the fact that it's under the Ormond Center there. I think did the master plan identify anything in this area for this?
Miles and I spoke about the master plan this morning on this particular project, and this is compliance with the master plan. The master plan again looks at the high level. This is more in the localized area, and in additionally, Miles just gave me a text, as you well know, he's not in. There's no trestle involved, and we're going to be utilizing the existing US 61 crossings. So again, this is going to be on the preliminary side. We'll be happy to meet with Mr. Pele at some point once we get some preliminary information and go over it with him, and we'll bring another report back to the council.
So, I mean, he also brings up another good point, is that we have a lot of projects that are already on the board, limited funding at the moment. So this wasn't on the, obviously must not have been on the list that we met. This isn't new, other than revamping what we.
No, this is just an original project that we inherited. The previous administration, again, so this is part of the discharge for the Schechtner pump station. The water has to come from the pump station that goes along the backside of Ormond, and exits to goes through these canals through Ormond Center. And what we're proposing is just to reroute it around. It's not a new concept, it's not a new project, it's just a project that we know needs to be done eventually, and that's why we're just getting this started. But, you know, since we've upgraded the pumping station, it's only kind of exacerbated the need for it, because now you're pumping even more water to it. So, at the end of the day, was it like a part of our Go Mesa projects? No, it wasn't, but it's still a project that is necessary.
Any other council discussion? Okay, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0073. That motion passes with 7 yeas, with Mr. Dufresne voting nay. (2022-0083), a resolution to approve and authorize execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement between the state of Louisiana and St. Charles Parish for funding to complete the Fairfield and Oakland pump station Discharge Improvements Project Fpnc, project number 50-J45-21-2. Ms. Chesson.
Good evening. So St. Charles Parish has been awarded capital outlay funding from the state of Louisiana for the Fairfield and Oakland Discharge Improvements Project. One of the requirements as we enter into this agreement is board approval. After tonight, what we are working on is submitting all of our construction documents to the state in order to have them review and approve them and give the go-ahead and all clear for the parish to advertise the projects for bids. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Ms. Chesson. File number 2022-0083 is open for public comment. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0083. And that motion passes with 8 yeas. Thank you, Ms. Chesson. 2022-0090, a resolution adopting Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire as a required part of the St. Charles Parish Annual Financial and Compliance Audit. Mr. Dewson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As stated, this is to adopt the Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire. This is the official start of the 2021 audit. It will be here at the end of next week and then in full the following week. So we have that going for us. But this just basically states that we're in compliance with public bid law, with budgeting, with accounting and auditing standards, ethics, and a whole laundry list of everything. And it's just kind of their starting checklist so they can start the audit. So appreciate your support.
Thank you, sir. File number 2022-0090 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0090. And that motion passes with 8 yeas. We have a deviation. A motion and a second is needed to deviate from the regular order of the agenda to take up file number 2022-0097, a resolution to request an emergency temporary change of polling place for all elections held at precinct 2-3 between April 4th, 2022 and December 31st, 2022. And file number 2022-0098, a resolution to request an emergency temporary change of polling place for all elections held at precincts 4-1, 4-1A between April 4th, 2022 and December 1st, 2022. Matters not on the agenda. I have a motion by Ms. Cormier, second by Ms. Billings, to deviate from the regular order of the agenda to take up file number 2022-97 and file number 2022-098. Is there anyone who would like to come up and speak on the deviation? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment on the deviation is closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes on the deviation only. And that motion passes unanimously. 2022-0097, a resolution to request an emergency temporary change of polling place for all elections held at precinct 2-3 between April 4th, 2022 and December 31st, 2022. Basically, clerk of court's office has reached out to these polling places and they would sustain damage and they're not going to be able to hold the elections. So we applied to the Secretary of State for an emergency order, and this is a resolution supporting that. File number 2022-0097 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0097. And that motion passes with 8 yeas. 2022-0098, a resolution to request an emergency temporary change of the polling place for all elections held at precincts 4-1 and 4-1A between April 4th, 2022 and December 2022. So again, this is the same thing as previous one, requested by the clerk of courts to the Secretary of State. File number 2022-0098 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Is there any council discussion? Ms. Cormier.
I just wanted to verbalize what 2 precincts were changing to what new locations so that people would know where they have to go vote. Because I don't think we actually got to that part. You want to read it or you want to have me read it? Okay, so this one, 4-1 to 4-1A, is going from St. Gertrude to Alamance Elementary. And the previous resolution is going from the Bible Center Church on Barton to Mimosa Park. So if you were precinct 2-3, you're now going to vote at Mimosa. And if you were 4-1 and 4-1A, you're going to Alamance. No? Yeah?
Okay, and we're going to send those to the Secretary of State to make sure that he approves it. So thank you for reading those in.
If they approve it, okay.
If they approve it. So, any other council discussion? Okay, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0098. Okay, it passes with 8 yeas. We'll get that submitted in, and we'll make sure that all the residents know. Motion and a second is needed to return to the regular order of the agenda. I have a motion by Mr. Dufresne, second by Ms. Billings. Please cast your votes. And that motion passes with 8 yeas. Appointments, 2022-0026, a resolution to appoint a member of the St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission as a District 3 representative. Council office did not receive confirmation questionnaire by March 29, 2022, deadline, Rule 17. Confirmation questionnaires must be completed and returned to the office of the council secretary by 4 p.m. on the 4th business day preceding a parish council meeting. Failure to complete or return the questionnaire prior to the deadline shall automatically disqualify. Council chairman will accept the nominations from the District 3 council member to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation of term of Mr. David P. Scheck-Snyder, Sr., unexpired term to begin immediately and to expire May 31st, 2025. Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to try this one more time. I want to nominate James Jimmy Kretcher for the position, please.
James Jimmy Kretcher. I have a motion by Ms. Cormier, second by Mr. Dufresne to close the nominations. Please cast your votes to close the nominations. And that motion passes 8. Go ahead. Should you receive their stuff today? What we're going to do? Okay, yeah. Okay. 2022-0054, a resolution to appoint a member of the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control as a District 6 representative. Council office did not receive the confirmation questionnaire by March 29th deadline. Rule 17, confirmation questionnaires must be completed and returned to the office of the council secretary by 4 p.m. on the fourth business day preceding a parish council meeting. Failure to complete or return the questionnaire prior to the deadline shall automatically disqualify the nomination. Council chair will accept nominations from the District 6 council member to fill a vacancy caused by the expiration of the term of Ms. Lori Lyons, a 5-year term to begin immediately and expire April 1st, 2027. I would like to nominate Ms. Robin Robichaux. I have a motion by Ms. Comier and second by Ms. Fonseca to close the nominations. Please cast your votes to close the nominations. And that motion passes 8 yeas. Meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings, Lafourche Basin Levy District, Wednesday, April 6th, 6 p.m., Lafourche Basin Levy District Office, 21380 Highway 20, Vacherie. Planning and Zoning Commission, Thursday, April 7th, 6 p.m., Council Chambers. Communication District 911, Monday, April 11th, 2022, 5 p.m., Council Chambers. Civil Service Board, Tuesday, April 12th, 2022, 6:30 p.m., Council Chambers. The Pontchartrain Levy District, Monday, April 18, 2022, 6 p.m., Pontchartrain Levy District Headquarters Complex, 2069 Railroad Avenue in Lutcher. St. Charles Parish Council, Monday, April 18, 2022, 6 p.m., the Council Chambers. Announcements. Important dates for the April 30th, 2020 School Board Special Election. Saturday, April 9th, 2022 is the last day to register to vote online at govote.com. Tuesday, April 26, 2022, is the last day to request absentee by mail ballots. Early voting, Saturday, April 16th, Monday, April 18th, Saturday, April 23rd, 2022, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. The West Bank would be the courthouse, 15045 River Road, Hahnville. East Bank will be Audiberry Building, 14564 River Road in New Sarpy. Friday, April 29, 2022, the last day for register to receive voted absentee ballots, and Saturday, April 30, 2022, is Election Day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Parish holiday, Friday, April 15, 2022, be Good Friday. I need a motion and a second to adjourn. I have a motion by Mr. Dufresne, second by Ms. Cooley. Please cast your votes to adjourn. And that motion passes with eight yeas unanimously. On behalf of the council, myself, wish all of you a safe and happy Easter. Have a great evening. We are officially adjourned.